These are the Fantasy Facts presented by Gridiron Experts with your hosts, Pat Loftus and Seth Keller.
Welcome back, everybody.
How's it going?
We got to take a little sip of water. We got to take a little sip of water here before we get started. I'm going to try to taking some constructive criticism here. I'm going to try to speak a little bit louder, maybe even get the microphone a little bit closer. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but hopefully we get some positive feedback after tonight's show. Because Seth shared a little update with me about how I may or may not sound. So.
It's more how you have sounded, but how are you going to get it better? And maybe the Amazon links that I sent you to upgrade your little.
I mean, the earbuds are not the best choice, probably, but it took me a long time just to get this thing. So
yeah. I mean, by the looks of the penitentiary behind you, like we might need to smuggle in a microphone and.
No, I smuggled in a picture of my wife and I on our wedding day.
Look at that!
Aww. Yeah. And then I've got my kids up here. You can't see them, but they're up here on the wall in front of me.
Are you tunneling? So are you tunneling out the other wall with a rock hammer?
I'm going full Andy Dufresne. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I got a guy. Don't worry. I got a guy for everything.
Yeah, we need to send you a picture or something so you can just
put a picture of Rita Hayworth. You can see
it. Yeah. Just have it in the background.
How about you, fuzzy britches?
Yeah. All right.
Oh man, well, it is good to be back. Seth and I tonight will be breaking down Week 10. We had a lot to talk about tonight. We'll be looking ahead to Week 11. So let's jump right into it. Make sure you follow the show at GX Fantasy Facts. Follow Seth at FF the At Home Dad. Give me a follow at Dynasty_Pat. Now, the promos, we still have both of them going. Which one's going up first? Underdog?
Viridian Global.
Oh, Viridian Global, yes. Viridian Global, use the code FACTS, FAQS at checkout. Receive 10% off your order. That's FACTS, FAQS at viridianglobal.com. Also, did you hit the button or did I? Is it going? Nope.
Stop pushing buttons, Pat. We updated the system, and now you have some access to things, and it's I wanted you to help out, and now you're doing stuff, and now I'm like, God damn it, Pat, stop touching buttons.
So we have a promo going with Underdog as well, our good friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Sign up, use the code FACTS, again, FAQS, and they will match up to the first $100 for any new deposit. Yes.
And
I haven't checked any of my best ball lineups in a while. I think I'm still winning. I'm still winning one.
You probably do that. Join me tomorrow for the hashtag live draft, which we do every Thursday. Pat, you're starting to cut in and out, man. You got to fix that stream, man. Join me for that lunchtime live draft. And, last week won a little bit of money playing on Thursday night. It was a good time. We do it every week, trying to get in. Thursday night games have kind of been the easiest since we're in there. Maybe win a little money on the Sunday slate too, and maybe a little pick 'em. One of my buddies at the bar, who I introduced to Underdog, missed a $1,000 pick 'em by 11 yards by J.D. McKissick. He put in a 5 player pick 'em and missed it by J.D. McKissick, 11 yards, just 11 all-purpose yards in a game where you would assume Washington versus Tampa. Washington's going to need to throw the ball in order to keep up with Tampa Bay, and it was a complete flip of what I think anybody was really predicting out of that game. So. Join us on some Underdog. It's a hell of a time. And you get $100 free. Who doesn't like free?
I mean, I like money.
I do too. And then you get the free money, and then you get chances to win more money.
Money. Exactly.
Come on, people.
Exactly.
Come on, buddy.
Do it.
All right. It's time.
Okay.
It's time to pop one open with the opening question. Are you actually going to do the opening
I did
question
it.
this
No, I
time?
was hitting.
And instead of
Yeah.
just skipping directly into the next one and ruining my drops, Pat?
I will not. Nope. We'll just edit that out. We'll edit out that pause. All right. The opening question this week comes from our good friend Clark at Imperial T. He's asking the best QB streaming option for this week: Mac Jones at Atlanta, Justin Fields versus Baltimore, Tua at the Jets, and Cam versus the Washington football team. I guess if I'm not, I don't like any of them. Is that allowed? Do we have to pick one of these?
Probably. I mean, I think
boy.
that's feedback in itself of like none of them are really that great an option. I think Mac Jones is probably the safest option out of this bunch here. He's been kind of the most consistent. He's not going to get you a 30-point game,
Yeah.
but he's going to get you. He's not going to do what like the Jets quarterbacks have done all year. He's not going to do what what Matt Ryan did to me in a couple of leagues this past week where he put up 2 points.
Same.
As a Cowboys fan, I should have known better than to start Matt Ryan. So I think Mac Jones is probably the best option here, expecting him to get, depending on like scoring, like a typical quarterback scoring like 4-point touchdown type of thing, you're probably looking around like 15 points. Nothing amazing, but he's also not going to get you 3, most likely.
Yeah.
And then I think my other option there after that would be Cam Newton. I know he's a little bit high based on what he did last.
It's like you're reading my mind because I'm looking at the schedule and the defense, in points allowed. The Washington football team gives up the most points to the quarterback position.
Yeah. And I mean, Cam is going to be real rusty, I'm assuming, but I'm also assuming that as a rusher, he's going to get a little bit more. And as much as like, the split of Christian McCaffrey, I think Cam is going to be able to check down a little bit more to CMC and get him into the game. I think he's going to be a little bit more, I don't think mature is the right word, but a little bit more willing to do the checkdowns to save his body a little bit of wear and tear. But he's still I still think he's gonna put on, he's still gonna rush. He's still gonna take, some red zone opportunities. I think Cam's the next kind of like, ooh, this could be a big play option.
And for me, it looks, safest floor, like you said, is Mac Jones. I think your high ceiling is Cam. So depending on what you need, if you need to rack up a ton of points to maybe put yourself in a position to secure like the 6th seed or whatever, however your league is formatted, if you need a win, or if you're trying to secure, move up from like the 3 to the 2, go ahead and fire up Cam Newton and see if you can, max out your ceiling for this week. So depending on the play here, Clark, or what you need, it's Mac Jones or it's Cam Newton. I think Seth and I are both in agreement there.
Yeah, and as much as Baltimore and the Jets, Jesus, the Jets. We'll get into them more later into the show. But as much as those offenses are bad, those defenses are bad. I mean, the Chicago offense and the Miami offense has been just as bad and just as inconsistent. And those are games that I'd rather not have to bet on those because they're so inconsistent. The payout could be great, but it's like playing Powerball. Like you're gonna drop $10 or whatever it is in your state to play Powerball, but you have a 1 in a billion chance of winning decent money. But most likely you're just donating whatever you're paying into it, and I think that's what you're gonna get out of like Fields and Tua, and there's a handful of other teams like that. So,
yep.
Moving along to the news desk. To the news desk. Fresh from the Fantasy Facts news desk. I heard an oh no in there. You all right there, Pat?
Yeah, but it's got to be my connection. Connectivity is not good in the jail cell tonight.
Oh no.
I'm gonna have to talk to the warden about that.
We'll have
Yeah,
to keep it going. Close some tabs, Pat. Just close a couple tabs.
I don't even
See
have
how we
that many
do.
open. I don't even have that much open.
Sure. All right.
This isn't
Well,
that bad.
I'll keep it going. I'll keep us going. So we're at the news desk,
Yeah.
though. Come on. All right. So
Yeah.
at the news desk, I mentioned the Jets and Joe Flacco gonna be starting. Gonna be starting for the Jets. If Joe Flacco, I forgot the terms of the contract, but there's something in the deal that was made to bring him to New York. If he plays a certain amount of snaps, he is worth a 5th-round pick instead of a 6th-round pick. So the Jets, by playing Flacco, can actually make that trade worse for them beyond just the fact that they're playing Joe Flacco. Oh, the Jets. I don't know what to say there except
all right, so
Miami's defense, maybe. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah. So the 6th-round pick turns into a 5th. If the 6th-round pick, 5th-round pick, if Flacco plays at least in 4 games in 2021.
So if he plays in 4 games in 2021, then it becomes a 6th-round pick, which is possible with there being 7 more games to go. He could end up being a 5th-round pick instead of a 6th-round pick. Just the Jets are going to jet, and that's yeah. Anyways,
that's how it's going to go.
Yeah.
All right. So Baker Mayfield really dinged up. Knee injury, did not practice on Wednesday, but he is expecting to play Sunday against my Lions. And speaking of my Lions, Jared Goff has a strained oblique, so that means Tim Boyle. Yeah, Tim Boyle is taking.
Is Tim Boyle a streaming option? Hell no. Is Joe Flacco a streaming option?
At this point,
Definitely
Tim Boyle may as well be the fucking kicker for the Lions after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
Good news. We'll end on some good news. And I did this purposely because Kyler Murray is returning to practice this week, setting up a showdown Sunday afternoon against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
He is returning to practice. Look for him to be healthy and active on Sunday.
And I mean, Russ didn't look great in his return. The Seahawks are 3-6 right now. The Cardinals are 8-2.
Seahawks are vulnerable to quarterbacks too.
Yeah, the Seahawks they're a team that they are not living up to expectations. So it's going to be interesting to see. This is a pretty big game for the Seahawks, and I don't know if they can win it. Yes, they could win it, but I don't think that they're in a good spot to pull this game out. So, especially if Kyler Murray's back and he's healthy, I would.
Everyone gets a bump.
Yeah.
The concern here is the Week 12 bye for Arizona, and getting no Hopkins because he's still got a questionable tag. Kyler Murray, let's say he tests out the ankle and it's still no good. I mean, Arizona's sitting pretty.
Yeah.
They're going to make the playoffs. Why not give them 2 more full weeks of rest and come back week 13 fully healthy, ready to go, ready for that push to lock up a 1 or a 2 seed?
Yeah, and
that's my concern.
Yeah, that can jump us right into the wide receiver news and notes because Hopkins did not practice this Wednesday with his hamstring injury. And I really need him to come back for a couple of my lineups that I have him in. It would be really nice to have him back in there. But yeah, I mean, it makes more sense from a personnel standpoint that if Hopkins is not 100% ready to go, if Kyler Murray is not 100% ready to go, have them hold off again and let what's his name, Colt McCoy.
Well, McCoy got hurt as well.
Yeah.
Colt McCoy has a pec strain. He's limited, potentially out. So you know,
I mean, can we get Tim Boyle? Sorry, gonna help it. But you're right though. Like this is a game where at 8-2, you know, they
mhm,
could they could possibly be 8-3 and still be sitting. They're sitting right now as the number 2 team in the NFC. If they go to 8-3, they're going to be tied with the Cowboys if the Cowboys win against the Chiefs, because the Cardinals will be 8-3 and the Cowboys will be 8-2,
mhm.
just because the Cowboys have had their bye week already. So I think you're right. I think we just keep an eye on both of those guys, in the desert, and see what happens with them. Next
I'm
up.
googling the I'm googling the third string quarterback in Arizona, Chris Streveler.
Oh yeah, he actually did.
He played.
He
He played last year. Yeah.
He won me some money on underdog in the preseason because it
There
was a pick 'em, and I was like,
you go.
Straveler. Yeah, he's definitely going to be an under.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but yep,
Yep.
that name's familiar. All right, let's
It's
keep it
familiar.
moving.
All right, so let's go to Baltimore. Baltimore. Hollywood Brown, thigh injury, did not practice Wednesday. I don't see much about it. I mean, he did not practice, so it's always concerning, but it could be just preventative measures. I mean,
Yeah,
he is still the one of the top two options in Baltimore for the time being. I mean, if Marquise Brown is if Brown is unable to play Sunday, that does bump up Bateman and Andrews a bit more. But I'm not seeing anything serious, so I don't know what to monitor because they played they an early they're an early game Sunday and they're at the Bears. So if you're rostering Hollywood Brown, maybe monitor the practice reports and
yeah, and you definitely want to monitor the practice reports for him because he's been having a great year. He's a wide receiver one this year. Like that's
mhm,
what everybody kind of wanted out of him. He's had 3 games over 20 points. He had a game over 30 points. He's let you down 3 times, with 8, 7, 9 points, but he has a juicy matchup against Chicago, another juicy matchup against Cleveland coming up. So hopefully it's um, not a major issue. Hopefully when they say thigh, they're not talking about like a hamstring, especially with a guy like Marquise Brown, more of those speed receivers. That hamstring can really linger and be a more just kind of devastating injury because of the amount of time it takes, for those speedy wide receivers like Hollywood Brown is. So yeah, hopefully
yeah,
it's
hearing a
nothing. Hopefully it's
questionable
just a little rest day,
yeah.
but keep an eye out.
Um, exactly. All
Pittsburgh.
right, Chase Claypool. Yes, Chase Claypool returned to practice this week, which is a bit of good news because they desperately. I mean, not desperately, but they did kind of desperately need him last week. So curious to see what Again, monitor those practice reports and see what his availability looks like. See what sort of tag he's carrying coming into the game this
Hmm.
week because I believe they said Big Ben was out again for week 11.
I
So
didn't
yeah,
see that, but I'll check real quick.
so
I mean, the
so
Steelers are going to play the Chargers this
mhm.
week. Five and
So
three Steelers, 5-4 Chargers. Like that's a
yeah,
matchup to kind of keep an eye on.
mhm,
I don't see the Steelers if they're going to tie the Lions, even with a backup quarterback. If they're going to tie the Lions, I don't see them deserving a shot into the playoffs. Sorry, Pat, but I don't see
yep,
them deserving a shot into the playoffs. And
mhm,
yeah, this could end up being kind of a wild card type of playoff matchup.
mhm,
The Steelers and the
yeah.
Chargers. So
So
it's
this
worth
was
monitoring.
So as of yesterday, ESPN is reporting Ben Roethlisberger is out, but Tomlin said that Ben doesn't need to practice in order to play this weekend. So if Big Ben is back, I think you can bump Claypool up, who was back limited participant today from the toe injury. Big Ben comes back. Claypool, Johnson, Fryermuth, Ebron, Harris. They all get a bump with
Not
Ben.
Ebron so much, but
Yeah, I mean he's looked. I watched. I watched a lot of the game on Sunday because it was the Steelers and my Lions, so I got to see him Ebron again, and he looked okay. I mean, he's still a top four option on that team. I mean, Fryermuth is right there with them.
yeah. I mean, he's
So
he's only gotten two. He's gotten 2 targets in like every game that he's played.
mhm.
Um, and that's like it. Like he had 3 against Cincinnati, but
Yeah,
not a single catch, and that was back in week 3. Like he's just not like in terms of fantasy, he's not really an option. Like is he helpful to that team? Yeah, probably, right? Like I would say he is helpful to that team, but I'm not excited about anything Ebron related for the Steelers. It's all Frymouth
mhm.
for me.
uh, Fryermuth. All right, fair enough. All right, let's go to Cleveland and Donovan Peoples Jones came up limping, groin injury, limited participant.
I think he
Schwartz and
exited.
Landry did not.
Yeah.
He exited. I'm
Um,
seeing limited practice. So anyway, yeah. So Schwartz non-participant due to concussion. Jarvis Landry knee did not practice. Kareem Hunt still on IR. Nick Chubb still on the COVID list. So there's we talked about Baker Mayfield. So there's a lot of injuries leading into this Browns Lions game.
yeah,
Uh,
like
I wanted
like
to talk about it.
The Browns may not have a starting lineup. Like their actual starting skill players, like by the looks of things, could all be out. Unless I missed something, and hopefully I'm not jinxing it, but it sounds like it's only Ernest Johnson, the third string
Yeah,
running back, is going to be kind of your only option there. So, yeah,
yeah.
Cleveland is looking real dinged up, real
hmm
hurt.
hmm
They're going to need to get things right, and
There'll
this.
be a lot of guys playing with that questionable tag
Mhm. and
on
it,
Sunday.
and this could be a game though that possibly the Lions
Don't
squeak out another
don't
tie
don't you do
because
it.
I mean,
Don't you
just
put that
saying, like,
evil on me.
I'm not gonna say win. They might get another tie. Like, has there been a team that has had 2 ties in a season? Like that would be a very Lions thing to do,
It would
to
be.
to be 0 to be 0-15-2.
That was
Yeah.
that would be that. Yeah, that's probably the ultimate Lions move.
Yeah. I wish
So
I want to put money on that now. Like the
okay.
Lions final record 0-15-2.
I'm
All
sure
right.
you can find somebody to
Yeah.
take those odds. All right, let's move to. We only got two news and notes to cover for tight ends, so we'll knock these out real quick. Dallas Goddard is in concussion protocol. He is week to week, and as of now, too early to tell. And Ricky Seals Jones, um, hip flexor strain. So it looks like Washington is going to be out or without Ricky Seals Jones and Logan Thomas. So John Bates looks like the next man up in Washington. There was some hype about him earlier in the year when Logan Thomas went down. So it's tough to really trust anyone in that offense. So I'm not. He's not a guy that I'm looking to acquire anywhere, but it might be a name to watch if anything lingers for Ricky Seals Jones or Logan Thomas.
Yeah, and honestly, the big hit here is Dallas Goddard
Yes.
because
Yep.
he's the guy that you were plugging into your lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout most of the season, he's done pretty decent for you. It's they have a tough matchup coming up against New Orleans, which would be difficult anyways. But the Eagles without Dallas Goedert's going to be real interesting, and maybe that means that he was getting like what 6 targets a game recently. If those all go to like a Devonta Smith or who kind of gets those targets without Goddard in there. I don't think they go to. I have to look it up again. The backup tight end, Tyree Jackson. Tyree Jackson. I don't know why I couldn't say that the first time. Richard Rogers, Jack Stoll, Noah Togoai, Jason Kroon. Those are all. There's six tight ends on the Eagles. What? Yeah, none of those. None. Same thing with Washington. None of those. None of the above.
Yeah.
All right, running backs.
Yeah, we've got a lot to cover here. I mean, there is some good news in here. So let's just kind of bounce around. We'll start with the good news, right? So let's go down to Kareem Hunt.
Yep, you mentioned it already.
Yeah, calf injury. He's not going to play, but he is close to being activated. We'll go down Alvin Kamara, return to practice from the knee injury. Christian McCaffrey is officially removed from an injury report.
Yep, no questionable, no limited. He's practicing in full, which is, as one of the few times where I actually dropped, broke the bank in auction leagues to go get Christian McCaffrey. I was like, yes, I'm gonna do awesome. Damn it, he's hurt. It feels real good to know that he's back.
Yep.
He's no injury designation at all. It's now just a matter of can he maintain that health, and if Cam Newton's going to be the starter, is he going to stay? Is Cam Newton going to allow Christian McCaffrey to be that RB1 that we got so used to seeing when Cam Newton kind of wasn't there? So
I mean, the only thing that gets limited are the goal line touches, in my opinion, for McCaffrey.
Yeah.
With Cam being there. All right, let's wrap this up. The good news: Clyde Edwards-Helaire might get activated off the IR. Miles Sanders.
No, that's might not.
No, might not. Sorry, I missed that. Might
so
not
that's actually more kind of bad news.
Yeah, my
because
bad. I missed that one.
I want to say he could have come back for this week, but now they're saying they might not. They might not even take him off of IR. So that's actually bad news.
Bad news. My mistake. Miles Sanders designated to return from the IR, so he's trending up. And Damian Harris has cleared concussion protocol and will play tomorrow night.
Which actually that's like bad news a little bit because I was really excited for Ramondre Stevenson.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. All right. Bad news. So let's talk about guys that probably aren't playing. So it's always bad news. Aaron Jones has a right MCL sprain. So they're thinking 1 to 2 weeks. But I think it was somebody on like a Packers inner talked about Green Bay always being a little more conservative when it comes to their injuries. So 1 to 2 weeks for a normal team might be 3 to 4 weeks for Green Bay. Packers are also on a bye in week 13.
Yep.
So we're looking at Jones being out week 11, week 12, week 13. So we're not going to see him until week 4.
Yeah, and that could be another one of those decisions like with Arizona where you kind of get you get the team making the decision that's best for the team and maybe not necessarily best for your fantasy roster because you probably need Aaron Jones in week 12 when they go up against the Rams, but it's probably going to be in Aaron Jones's best interest and the Packers' best interest to get him rested up for 14, 15, 16, 17 as they get, they head into the playoffs because the Packers are, they are a playoff team right now. They are in first place in the playoff race. So, they're going to want to make sure that they secure that. They're going to want to make sure that Aaron Jones is a part of that. So I don't see them starting. I don't see them firing up Aaron Jones until after the bye week.
Agreed.
I wonder. I wonder if they put him on IR, knowing that he's going to miss 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they probably would have done that already, but it's still Wednesday night. Maybe there's a possibility they put him on and just say, you know what, we're going to make sure he's out these three
Shut him
weeks.
down. Yeah.
We're going to shut him down. We're going to make sure he gets back to 100%. And that also frees up a roster spot for them. So if they wanted to, I think they worked out Kerryon Johnson or something like that.
Yes,
They could
they
bring
did.
somebody like that in to be able
Yeah.
to fill that roster spot, kind of back up
To provide some
AJ
value.
Dillon, provide a little support. I feel like
Mhm.
that may actually be the smarter decision for the Packers, and not just because it's my idea, and I think all of my ideas are smart, but you know, sounds like a good
Yeah.
idea to me.
Chris Carson. So there was talk that Carson might be back
Mm-hmm.
from his neck injury. He was a DNP today, so
Yeah,
Carson did not
he
practice.
he was a
And
limited participant last week, right? Like, wasn't that
yeah,
like this is
um,
actually a setback from where he was because there was talk about him coming back, um,
yeah,
which
and
that news broke today,
yeah,
and luckily, I had a roster choice of dropping Alex Collins. I was like, you know what? Carson just always seems hurt. I'm gonna hold on to Alex
yeah,
Collins and just see what happens. And luckily, I was able to pick up the guy that I wanted and still keep Alex Collins. And it seems like Alex Collins may get another shot here, to play as the lead back. And it
yeah.
sucks for Chris Carson. Hopefully he gets healthy soon. But I think Alex Collins is another kind of throw him out there. He's not going to set the world on fire, but he's going to
It's very
hopefully,
safe, very
yeah,
safe floor, very safe
yeah,
floor. So I'm reading. So Carson won't practice Wednesday. Pete Carroll said the running back hasn't progressed the way they had hoped. I'm also seeing that DK Metcalf didn't practice today. Foot
Is,
injury.
is that like a veteran rest day, or is that like an
It
actual
just it
like
just says
injury though?
Metcalf foot didn't
Yeah,
practice Wednesday.
yeah.
So maybe it is veteran rest.
Maybe
I
he's
don't
still
know.
angry at how bad Russell Wilson played
Yeah,
on
maybe.
Sunday. But all right,
Maybe.
let's keep going with the bad news. Stay out
Keep it
west.
rolling.
Yeah, Elijah
Yeah.
Mitchell broke a finger. They put a pin in it already. Not like, boop, we're gonna put a pin in that and come back to it later, but actually put a pin in his finger. Didn't practice today, but they're saying that he should be able to go come this weekend. So, um, I mean, it seems like you might need a little bit more time to deal with a broken finger like that, but I guess they kind of also just like tape it up and let it go. I wonder if
Yeah, right.
they have enough running backs in San Fran that I wonder if they, you know, Jeff Wilson came back for 10 touches last week. I wonder if he, kind of becomes that Jeff Wilson from a year or two ago where all of a sudden it's like, oh, random week, Jeff Wilson week. Sweet. Here's a 30-point game out of Jeff Wilson. No one saw that coming. Like I feel like that could be a possibility here. But yeah, like Elijah Mitchell, if he's suited up, he's gonna be a go on your roster
Yes.
in your starting
Yes.
lineup. It's gonna be hard to not put him in. But that broken finger, like I don't know. I feel like that would take more rest, but I also definitely defer to the experts and the people that know what they're doing
Right.
with that stuff. So if they're saying he's
Right.
expected to play, then you know,
I expect him to play.
fire him up in your roster.
Yep. Uh, James Robinson down in Jacksonville, knee and or heel injury, did not practice today.
Yeah. So he had
That's
a
not
he had a
too.
lingering heel injury
That didn't seem to
from
slow him down too much in week 10.
no, but now he has the same heel injury.
Mm-hmm.
And now they added on this knee injury. So It seemed like he was getting over the heel and now has an issue with his knee. Maybe this is kind of like a veteran rest day. I don't really know. He's a sophomore. I don't know if that counts as veteran at this point. Maybe it's just a rest day, but
he's still a guy that even if you're plugging him in and you're keeping him in your lineup, he has been quite the pleasant surprise his sophomore year in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Not Carlos Hyde. Not fair enough. Carlos Hyde. No.
Okay. No, thank you.
Just checking.
No, thank you. All right, we talked CEH already. Let's go to Cordarrelle Patterson. This was, I know.
breaks my heart.
Sprained ankle, high ankle sprain, I believe is what I saw. High ankle sprain. I've seen he has already been ruled out for Thursday Night Football. I'm seeing that he's a game time decision for Thursday Night Football. I'm seeing he's practiced this week. I don't know
who to believe.
I feel like if this were a late Sunday or a Monday night game, there's probably a better chance he's playing.
Yeah.
But because it's Thursday night, they probably didn't even practice Monday. If you're saying he practiced, so he was out there, but how much did he really do? I mean, even if he carries a questionable tag, you have to play him. I mean, New England is not. I mean, they're a very good defense against running backs and wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
They're better against running backs than they are wide receivers, but Atlanta doesn't have much in terms of wide receivers
or running backs.
Yes, they have Pitts or running backs.
They have Patterson, and they have Patterson, who's a hybrid. They have Pitts, who's a hybrid tight end.
They have quads. They have Quadzilla. I mean.
Mm-hmm.
The tweet was going around the Twitterverse earlier, but it was like the day after the NFL draft and the weapons that Matt Ryan and the Falcons had. It was like Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, Cordarrelle Patterson, Hayden Hurst. Just rattled everybody off. And now it's who are they rolling out this week? Kyle Pitts, Russell Gage, Olamide Zacchaeus. Mm-hmm. What happened?
Yeah.
But
it's not pretty.
We'll bring this back full circle here. If Patterson is even questionable, I think you have to roll him out there because he has been really, really good for you.
Yeah, and unless you have a better option out there, which I mean, Patterson's been phenomenal, especially in PPR leagues. But I would be tempering expectations for him. So if I have a guy that I feel really confident about is going to give me 10 to 15 points. I'd probably end up sitting Cordarrelle Patterson and, hoping that, if it's a matchup that I feel like I'm pretty comfortable in, I should be able to win unless he has, a few people that just go absolutely bonkers. I'm probably going to be happier sitting Cordarrelle and just expecting, 10 to 15 points out of somebody who's a little bit safer. Versus putting Cordarrelle in there and he gets, 2-3 touches, or he's he's gonna play and test it out, and he tested out in the first quarter and he's like, nope, I'm done, deuces, and he leaves with a target.
And one carry.
Yeah, I'd rather go with someone safe if I have that luxury.
Fair enough. Last on the list here, Jeremy McNichols, a little bit of a concussion, a little bit concussed, and did not practice today either. Who would have thought that Donta Foreman, recovering from an Achilles injury 2 years ago, would be the guy?
Yeah.
It's great. It's great to see. It's great to see because you can start having more conversations about recovering and returning from an Achilles injury.
It's I
love to see it.
Making a whole lot of people feel better about Cam Akers. Yep. That's what Donta Foreman's doing right now. Yep. I feel like for a lot of people, because it's see, you can come back from an Achilles tear. But
everybody's doing it.
Yeah, let's not forget how long it's taken. And yes, he's back, but is he, he's still only he had, 10 rushes this past week? and only for like 30 yards or something like that.
He
It
had,
wasn't. It
but
wasn't. I
he was
remember
more
it wasn't
effective.
phenomenal, but it was.
No, but
It was better than AP. Yeah.
he was more effective. I think he ended up like with 75 or 78 total yards in the game.
Oh,
He was the
he
most.
had a big catch is what
Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
yeah.
He went 11 for
So,
30
and I
rushing
mean,
and two of two for 48 yards receiving. So
so Tennessee, they're playing the Texans this week. The Texans are basically a
abysmal.
sieve. They're
Yeah.
basically a sieve on defense. So I mean, I think you can comfortably start, maybe not comfortably, but you could make a case to plug in a Donta Foreman or an Adrian Peterson in your lineups this week, just because of who they're playing, because the Texans are not good.
Yeah.
So, and while we're doing this, I'm actually going to go see if Donta Foreman is available.
I was gonna say I doubt
We do
he
a lot.
is.
Oh,
I know he was getting
he
scooped
is
up in a
not.
lot in like every league.
He
At
is
least
not.
every league that I've been in. So
That's
yeah. All right.
yeah,
So
he
I
won't
think
have
we
to
hit
darn.
all the news there, right? Can we jump into some of the games we want to talk about this week?
That should do it. I only have one game that is really interesting to me. So I'll let you go first. Uh, one of yours. We'll cover 3 games tonight.
Okay.
And actually, we'll start with this. Let's start with
So
real quick. Let's start with the teams that are on a bye.
Schmont.
Denver and the Rams are on a bye this week. Please adjust your lineups accordingly.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't
Yeah.
play anybody from those teams, which is
Correct.
going to be hard for the people that have Cup.
Stafford,
It'll be real
Henderson. Yeah.
hard. Did you see the tweet also of Stafford's wife who hit
Yes.
a
With the
49ers
pretzel.
fan with a pretzel? Oh, come on. That's funny.
It
All right.
was. Oops, wrong one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm actually going to start with a game that has more real football impact for me
Fantasy.
than maybe fantasy. There's definitely a lot of fantasy impact in it, but more real life football kind of impact. And for me, that's the Bengals and the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
And both of these two teams, they are sitting just outside currently of the playoffs. They are in the 8th and 9th spots in the AFC. Both of them sitting at 5-4. Both of them sitting at third in their respective divisions, and both of them with, you know, they have some potential. And they're 5-4. The Raiders have kind of fallen off a little bit. The Bengals have been, a few high games and a few low games. That's how you get to 5-4. But this could be a preview of a wild card matchup. Like I could see both of
Mm-hmm.
these two teams, playing week 18, first week of the playoffs, and it being another fun game. And I think this week could be a fun game for that. You still get some fantasy output with Burrow and Chase, Higgins, Boyd, Joe Mixon. That kind of trifecta. Don't forget
Mm-hmm.
CJ Uzama on the Bengals.
I was going to say, is this like a low key way to talk about Uzama because the Raiders are giving up the most fantasy points to the tight end position this year?
I mean, that is a pretty good one. He's definitely a sneaky DFS play for me. And then the Raiders, this could be a great game for Josh Jacobs because the Bengals are giving up the 7th most points to running backs.
Mm-hmm.
So this could actually, this game has a lot of real life football impacts, but it could be a really fun fantasy game. Considering Mixon and Jacobs could both go off, considering, you have Chase and Burrow on the one side, you have Uzoma, you have, potentially Brian Edwards,
Brian Edwards had a breakout last week.
Yeah, he got an opportunity and he's taken advantage of it so far. So, can he continue that? Does this open the door for Waller a little bit? The Bengals are, a decent squad against the other positions rather than running back. So I think this could be a fun game, but one that I'm definitely watching more of. How does the entire team play versus more of just like I want to zone in on certain players for
Right,
fantasy.
right. And that's what I'm doing, and that's specifically for the game that I picked. Is I'm honing in on certain guys, and I'm going to talk about the game that's going on tomorrow night, New England at Atlanta. I don't give a shit that it's a rematch of the Super Bowl. They're two totally different teams. I mean, they are two totally different
Yep.
teams from where they were a few years ago.
And it's
So
also 4 years ago too. Like, come on,
that's
like
a
it's
lifetime in the NFL.
completely different.
It's
Yeah,
a lifetime in the NFL, right? So we
that
talked a little bit.
that's actually longer than the average career of a
Mhm,
football player, which is what 2.5, 3.5 years, something like that.
mhm.
So yes,
Crazy,
like
crazy. That was 4 years ago. Anyway,
yeah,
so we've already talked. You know how we feel about Mac Jones on New England.
mhm.
Um, Happy as hell to see Jacoby Myers finally find the end zone. I think we're seeing the real Hunter Henry finally. He's got a
Mhm.
great connection with Mac Jones. You now have Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, who put up 100 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. So we're seeing, you know, we're seeing some of these guys finally start to break out, and we're seeing all the things that I can remember talking about in the offseason. You know, Damian Harris was a guy that people like, yes, he's finally going to break out.
Mhm.
Ramondre Stevenson, he's a guy, he's a rookie that landed in a good spot because if Harris doesn't break out, then they've got Stevenson, right? Mac Jones is probably playing the best out of all the rookie quarterbacks. I think that's fair. I don't think
Yeah,
that's not really a hot take, you
no,
know. Then on the flip side, you've got Atlanta, who again just talked about the weapons that they had after the first round of the NFL draft. They were stacked, right? This is a
Mhm.
team that's all in. Julio's gone. Calvin Ridley's focusing on his mental health. Patterson is now hurt. Kyle Pitts has been, high ceiling, low floor all year. So, are we going to see? Is this the game where Pitts just gets peppered with targets? Right? Do we see a healthy Cordero Patterson? Do we see Hayden Hurst, Russell Gage? Like, that Atlanta offense lacks a ton of firepower,
yeah.
but they can make up for it with one play or one guy. So it will be interesting from a fantasy perspective to see a lot of these guys who are, with the exception of Matt Ryan, you got a lot of these guys that are first, second, third year players starting to make a name for themselves and make a mark. So, the Thursday night game for me is going to be a must watch.
Yeah, no, and it's a Thursday night game. It's a primetime game, and it's good to get that first kind of taste of the
Right.
weekend
And,
going to the bar and
especially,
watching the game.
well, that and especially if, we're getting into the home stretch,
Yeah.
right? Playoffs around the
Mhm.
corner. You're starting to look at where you're going to stack up. Will you make it? Won't you make it? And you want to start the week off right. So you want to
Yeah.
get your guys out. You want to see points scored, and you want to see your fantasy team get off to a big lead.
Yeah.
So,
And the Patriots are in the playoff hunt, which is kind of scary
mhm,
considering they're back into it with a rookie quarterback like Mac Jones.
right?
But they're 6-4. Granted, they're in the AFC East, which is just a toilet bowl once again.
I mean, the Bills are
Uh,
pretty good.
right, minus the Bills. The Bills are pretty good, but still,
Yeah,
like you still have two of the worst teams
right,
in the NFL in that division. It's just not three of the
right,
worst teams in the NFL in that division.
right,
So
right,
you're right. They did get a little bit better.
right.
So yeah, there's a lot of fun this Thursday night. I'm actually gonna do one more game while we got a little bit of time here before
Go
we
ahead.
jump into the
Yeah.
fact attack. And that game for me is the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Buffalo Bills, going up to cold, and I don't think it's
So
gonna be snowy yet, but it's always a possibility in Buffalo, outside in
so
Orchard Park. Go
you're
ahead,
you're
Pat.
a little bit you're a little bit closer to this than me. Why was that not flexed to a night? Why is that game not the Sunday night game?
Oh, I have no idea
Why
what.
is that? There's no way that should be a one. Like no way in my mind. That's got to be it.
Yeah,
That's got to be.
I,
That's better than
I,
Pittsburgh, LA.
yeah. Are they doing flex games at this point? I feel like that's usually later in the season when they start doing those flex games. But yeah, like that game, that to me, that game's going to be a great game. You have the Bills who are in second place in the AFC. The Colts are sitting just outside. They're 5-5. They're in the 10th place. But what's going to be really fun about this is you have the Colts defense who has been giving up a decent amount of points, right? Like they're giving up fantasy points kind of across the board. To basically every position except for running back, which Buffalo will be very happy with since they don't want to give their running backs
I was just
any
going to say
fantasy points.
that bodes really well for the running backs.
Right. And what's interesting is the Bills have one of the best defenses out there in terms of probably the best defense out there in terms of limiting fantasy points. Just across the board, they're best against quarterbacks, best against running backs, best against wide receivers, and what is that, 7th against tight end. But what's interesting on the flip side is the Colts are the 8th top scoring team in points per game so far this season. They are, in terms of total yards per game, I think they are, what is it, 10th? I think that's 12th actually. So they're one of the, not a top flight offense, but they've been a pretty good offense. And this is a game that, these are two teams that want to assert their playoff position. They want other teams to realize this is what we can do against other playoff caliber teams. And here's how we're going to handle our business. And I think this could be a game where, Jonathan Taylor has himself a day, Josh Allen has himself a day, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders maybe gets himself a touchdown. Who knows? We'll even throw Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, and Matt Breda. Bundle them all together. They might split a touchdown amongst the three of them. They'll probably get a touchdown.
Josh Allen will have more rushing touchdowns than those three people combined. How about that for a wager?
I'll take
proclamation.
I'll take that bet
proclamation.
Any day. A little shot bet. Cheers.
Let's do it.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, there's opportunities kind of all over the field here. And it's going to be interesting to see how Indy matches up against the Bills defense, who is a really good defense. It'll be interesting to see how the Bills match up against the Colts offense, who's been not like the Cowboys or the Cardinals, or I mean, even the Chiefs, even though they've been struggling, are still like they're 4th in terms of yards per game. They're not the Buccaneers, right? But they're still a, better than half the other teams. Better than 3/4 of the other teams out there in points per game. So it'll be an interesting kind of matchup to see what happens there. I think the Bills come out and win it. But I think this could be a game where, we're getting a score of like 38-35, maybe into the 40s, something like that. Yeah. And just an all around kind of fun game to watch and, maybe get some fantasy points.
I was trying to look up what the spread and the over under for this game was. And every time I open up another tab, my connection goes to shit. Yeah. So I'm just not going to look that up.
The over under is 51. And the Colts are getting. Oh, now my
oh boy!
Now my screen's loading. I don't think I'm frozen, but my screen's loading here.
Anyway, and I agree. This is going to be a fun game to watch because of how good the Buffalo offense has been, minus the running backs, and that plays very well into where the Colts have been really poor this year. And you touch on all of it, right? The Bills or the Colts defense is bad against quarterbacks, they're bad against wide receivers, they're bad against tight ends. Guess where Buffalo has a lot of good players, a quarterback and wide receiver and tight end.
And I was gonna say I didn't know if you were gonna throw Dawson Knox in there, but I was like, I'll throw Dawson Knox in there as maybe not good, but like promising. Like
for
he's
a
better than
matchup.
okay right now.
For a match, yeah. I mean, if Knox is fully healthy, I know we talked
Mhm.
about him last week or the week before with the hand injury, but if he's back and fully healthy, that's another sneaky kind of DFS
Yeah.
play. You know, a little Josh Allen, Dawson Knox stack, if you will. And then flip side, you've got, you know, Jonathan Taylor, who is the best running back in the game right now,
Yep.
going up against the best defense in terms of points allowed
Yep.
to that position. Carson Wentz is starting to come together. He's looking better. Michael Pittman is emerging. So, do we see kind of that, you know, ascension for these guys against one of the better teams in the AFC this year? So, it's another fantastic game. I'm still not sure why it's the 1 o'clock game. And I was reading that, you know, the NFL is still doing flex scheduling and flexing games. I don't see how this game hasn't been flexed to the Sunday night game yet.
Yeah. What's
But
interesting
whatever.
is the betting line opened at the Colts getting 4.5 points,
Mhm.
and right now it's the Colts getting 7 to 7.5 points, depending on what bookie you're going with, what
Wow.
sports book you're going with. So they're expecting the Bills to win by a
I
touchdown.
would say there's a lot of money coming in on Buffalo then.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which to me, I could easily see that being a 3-point game, a field goal at the end of the game,
Yeah.
Or seeing Buffalo kind of running away with it because the Colts defense just can't stop.
Yeah. I mean, and let's be honest, the Colts offense, while as good as they are, they don't have the firepower that Buffalo's
Right.
offense has.
Yeah.
So
And
if it turns
Colts,
into a shootout, I don't think the Colts can match
yeah,
that.
yeah. The Colts are 8th in points per game, which is good.
Good. Yeah.
The Bills are second, so
Which is
that's
better.
better. Yeah, it's better.
Math? Is that math?
That
Yeah.
I think it counts as math. Yeah,
I'm going to count it as math. Yeah.
I'm going to count it.
Thank you. You're the math.
Where's the Jeffers? I'll allow it.
I'll allow it.
All
I
right.
was told there would be no math.
And you know what time it is, Pat?
Let's
do
do it.
Do you know? Do you know? Do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is?
So I put it up. I even created a banner for the factory. How about that?
Look at you.
I know.
We could probably like spruce those things up a little bit, but
We
it's
will.
all right.
We're in the beta version here.
Yeah.
This is we're beta testing this. All right. Fact Attack. We have scoured Twitter for your questions. Seth is going to put 5 minutes on the clock. We're going to answer these as quickly as we can. You ready?
Yeah. Say when.
Hit it. Are we going?
Yeah, no, I pushed the button.
All right. First question is from @Bang Castle. For the rest of the season, standard scoring: Rashad Bateman or Jerry Jeudy?
Ooh, Bateman. Bateman, I think he has more opportunity for touchdowns, which to me gives him a slight edge, but they are close.
I'm going to go with better quarterback play. I'm going with better quarterback play as the deciding factor here. Yeah. So I'm going Bateman over Jeudy. All right. From @Stash-Bradshaw, PPR, Flex, Tyler Lockett, Brandon Ayuk, Rashad Bateman. I'm realizing there's a couple more Rashad Bateman questions in here. So
I'm going Bateman, Lockett, Ayuk. I think I want Lockett to be on top of that, but I think that's more name recognition than anything because that Seahawks team just hasn't been. They're not as good without Russell Wilson, and they're not as good with a injured Russell Wilson. So I'm gonna go Bateman over Lockett for right now.
So I'm looking at it. I'm actually gonna go, and it pains me, but I'm gonna go Ayuk over Bateman. So I'm gonna go Ayuk, Bateman, Lockett. Jimmy G has been playing well. Jacksonville is not great against wide receivers. The Bears are actually worse, but I'm gonna go with Ayuk over Bateman this week. All right, from at JuicyJ_Looper, which defense do you like more this week? The Colts versus the Bills, the Steelers versus the Chargers, the Saints versus the Eagles.
Is there an opportunity to pick up Miami versus Flacco? Just throwing that out there.
That would probably be my choice as well.
Yeah. I would say honestly I think it's the Steelers versus the Chargers or the Saints versus Philly.
Yeah, I want no part of that Colts defense against Buffalo.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah. I'd say it's the Steelers versus LA. I just don't.
Yeah, I don't like either of those options either. I would look at if there's any other streaming options out there. To be honest, I don't like either of those.
Yeah,
I mean maybe go see if the Browns defense is out there because you're playing a banged up Lions team with a third string quarterback.
Yeah, or even the Lions defense playing against all backups on the Browns. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that. From at Fieri for Prez 2020, that was my favorite name this week. Fieri for Prez 2020. Rest of the season in a PPR league, do you want Deebo Samuel or DK Metcalf?
If it's just redraft, give me Deebo. I
think believe that's what it is.
Yeah, he just gets worked into the game plan so much more, and yeah, I mean he's a stud.
Agreed.
Give me Deebo. Not saying DK's not, but
if it's seasonal, I want Deebo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe even Dynasty.
No. From at Luke Skolberg, rest of season PPR. This is a seasonal league. Tyler Lockett or Rashad Bateman? I promise this is the last Rashad Bateman question.
Man, I'm gonna go Bateman here again.
I'm going Bateman here as well. This one we talked about. I probably should have not included this one, but because we talked about two of these guys earlier. But
that's all right. The more the merrier.
Give me Bateman over Lockett in this one. All right, from at Arcade20, you have to start two of these players: Michael Pittman, Kendrick Bourne, Elijah Moore. Pick two to start this week.
I want no part of the Jets, so I'd go Pittman and Bourne. And I just want to, as you make your claim, I'm just going to look up. I know Bourne had he had a big run last week. Wasn't that what helped him out? But
I agree. I'm leaning that way as well. However, you can make the case that Elijah Moore is the best receiving option in New York on the Jets. So the volume could be there versus the volume, if Kendrick Bourne scored all those points on one big play, then you can make the case that you want Pittman and Elijah Moore for the volume. So I'm going to actually go Pittman, Elijah Moore.
Yeah, and I just re-looked at Elijah Moore's numbers here. He's actually strung since the bye. He's strung together 4 consecutive 10+ point games in PPR, and one of them against the Colts was a 27-point game. So I think I'm gonna switch mine also and go with Elijah Moore and Pittman.
Attaboy.
But man, do we really trust Flacco though? You know what? No.
Okay.
Flacco makes me turn it back. I really wanted to go with Elijah Moore there, but no, Flacco makes me go back.
Okay.
Give me Kendrick Bourne. I don't trust Flacco. I don't trust the Jets. Kendrick Bourne. That's the better play.
All right. Well, that does it. That's the Fact Attack this week. Again, check the lineups because we have 2 teams on a bye this week, Broncos and Rams. Make sure you're not starting anyone there. Make sure you're giving the show a follow at GX Fantasy Facts, FAQS. Seth is at FFE at Home Dad. I'm at Dynasty_Pat. Use the promo code FAQS, that's facts, at ViridianGlobal.com. Get 10% off of your order. And join us on Underdog and Underdog Fantasy. Promo code facts, FAQS. They will match up to 100% of your first deposit. Your initial deposit, I should say.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and check out the show on YouTube too. We started putting together a few more things going on the YouTube, so check that out. You can find us at GX Fantasy Facts on the
We try to keep it
YouTubes.
simple. We tried
So
to keep it simple. And with
sometimes it
that,
works. Who knows?
keep an eye out too. We're going to keep the Twitter thread going this week. We'll put all that out from at GX Fantasy Facts. Guys we like, guys we don't like, talking about the games. So we'll try to break those down for you as well. With that, good night, everybody.
Catch you on the flip side.